Hey viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist. Welcome back to So You're Being Hunted. This is episode 352 now, ladies and gentlemen. So you guys out there are all doing fine. Come back for a bit more So You're Being Hunted action with here as we continue with the Turntables Challenge attempt number 2. Now that I think about it, I think we've actually, we're back here on the West Island, and at first I completely forgotten where we were actually up to with this, in terms of which islands we've been to and all that. That's the only problem when I do a recording session. I do several episodes, and then I kind of go away, and it's a good few days at the very least until my next recording session. I usually forget, but fuck it, we'll just do however many ambushes we can here until eventually we get ourselves to a position where I think we will be better at maybe going and shooting robots to another island. Sorry, can't English. It's an evening, ladies and gentlemen, as I want to record this. A Friday evening, in fact. Work has finished for the day. It's been really good so far. Had a seminar this morning. Went very well. Lovely stuff. And then from there it was just a matter of doing various other admin-related duties, which was great, I guess. It's fine. Okay, so, yeah, things are going well over here on my end. I'm sure everything's going well over on everyone else's end. Come on, lure them over. You've never heard music played like this before now, have you? Oh, there's a few robots there. There's quite a few of them, in fact. Right, that's one down. We've done an ambush. We don't need to do all of them. We don't need to kill all of them, that is. That's another one out. Not doing too bad, though, are we? Oh, careful. Oh, dog. Get out of here. Reload. See, we're off to a great start. That is a rifle. I don't have ammo for that. Oh, I think he just killed his buddy over there. Nope. Gonna get you first, motherfucker. Oh. I think I hear a squire. That's bad. We need to be a tad careful. Otherwise old squirey boy over there is going to get very aggressive. Oh. Who's... Oh god, there's another bloody hunter. Ooh. Be very careful that you don't aggro that squire, please. Otherwise that could be quite good. Come on. Get close, and... Jesus. Uh-oh. I think I just saw him raise his revolver. You better not fucking attack me, my friend. Wow, that was quite an opening battle, that was, wasn't it? Oh, wait, is he going after that hunter? Looks like he is. Or is he? Oh, where's he going? I don't know, the squire just sort of ran off. Look, he's just all the way over there. What's he doing? Weird. I don't even know what was going on with that guy just then, but it was very peculiar. Alright, let's start examining some bodies, shall we? Seeing if they've got any good stuff on them, which actually some of them do have. Eat those pickled eggs or onions, or whatever the hell they were. God, we killed so many bloody robots. It's funny, isn't it, how sometimes I just do really well at fighting off entire crowds of enemies. And then other times, I just fuck it up really badly. You're coming straight for me. Or are you? Oh no, you're turning around and going the other way. That's fine, you do that. I'm very happy for you to do that, in fact. Makes my life a little bit easier, doesn't it? Eat your blackberries, thank you very much. Okay, let's go. So, like I said, you know, I wasn't actually anticipating for a big battle to just sort of kick off all at once at the start of this episode, but that's fine. We did a good ambush there. Don't know why I'm still carting the rifle around, but what can you do, eh? There was a church obviously back this way, wasn't there? And that's the thing. Now, what I was going to talk about, because I had a particular topic, actually, you know, topic of conversation actually in mind for this. So, as when I record this, you know, this Friday evening, I did release a bonus video earlier in the day, in the afternoon. Had the opportunity to do that. And the video in question was Okairi. I think it's pronounced, I think. I don't actually know. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation entirely. Okairi. Well, that door apparently has something removed from it, so we've been there, clearly. But, you know, that was a short little indie horror game by Chiller's Art. You know me, I've done a few of their games already before. I must say, some of them have, you know, been pretty good. They're short, but very enjoyable little titles. Very atmospheric. Very fun to play. And so I played Okari, again, however it's pronounced, I'm not entirely sure. And it just got me thinking as well about indie horror more generally, because you know me, I love playing my horror games from time to time, especially my indie horrors, including, whether that's short games, whether that's longer games. And that just got me thinking as well, in terms of, I'd like to kind of pose a question to the audience here, because I'm always on the lookout for indie horrors that might take my interest. And by all means, you can recommend anything. That door also has something missing, which means I've been here as well. Okay, maybe I've cleared out a lot of the West Island. Maybe I've cleared most of it out. Okay, we'll keep exploring for the time being, though. And the question I really want to ask to everyone is, you got any good horror games that you recommend to me? Especially ones which maybe aren't reliant on jump scares or monster chases for their horror. I'm especially interested in horror games, indie or otherwise, which are very reliant more on their atmosphere than anything else. Because I always think that the sign of a masterful horror story or game or whatever is one that doesn't rely on jump scares or blood and gore or monsters constantly chasing you or anything like that. In fact, I think a good horror game is usually one where the atmosphere itself just instills a sense of dread into you at all times. And that's what I really look for in horror. And I know that there's a lot of horror games out there which, like I say, can be very reliant on jump scares, very reliant on blood and gore, very reliant on monsters chasing you. So see games like Outlast, for example. And in that respect, I'm always interested in just hearing about horror games which you guys might be interested in seeing me play. But especially, I'd be interested in hearing about games which maybe don't really have jump scares, or which don't really have monster chases, but instead are all about the atmosphere. The thing is, I got, various horror games in my Steam library, which I bought because they look interesting. So, for example, I have a load of Penumbra games in my Steam library, which I probably want to play at some point. Apparently, the Penumbra games, they're classic horrors, really, really good. Now, I know I just said I preferably be interested in ones which aren't reliant on jump scares or blood and gore or monsters chasing you. Technically, there is a horror game that does actually tick those particular boxes, which I would be interested in playing, and that's Cry of Fear. Cry of Fear, for anyone who doesn't know, is an old one. It comes from like 2008, somewhere around there. Was it made in 2008, or was it actually made in something like 2012? Okay, I can't actually really remember. But Cry of Fear is an interesting one, because apparently it started out live as a mod for Half-Life 1, interestingly, but now is available as a standalone game, and apparently, if I'm not mistaken, it is free to download from Steam. You don't have to pay any money for it. But even though apparently it is quite jump scare intensive, and there's a lot of like chases with monsters and things like that, apparently it is really good, and that it does have a lot of atmosphere to it. So who knows? Maybe that's one I'll check out. There's a bit of a blast from the past for many of you out there. There's that one. There's the Penumbra games, which I'm definitely willing to try out if I get the chance. I've got Soma in my Steam library as well. That's apparently a really good one. So apparently, from what I've heard, that one is actually more dependent on its atmosphere and story for the horror. Although there are some instances of, I think, monsters and jump scares. But, that should be good. But in the meantime, I'm just thinking, are there any other horrors that I have in my Steam library? Speaking of, obviously, Chiller's Art games, having played Okari fairly recently, I was checking Chiller's Art's Steam page, and they had a couple more short horror games that they made and released on Steam earlier this year. Missing Children and The Ghost Train, and I basically bought them because they were going really, really cheap. That they were on offer, something like £1.88 each, which is really cheap. So I thought, for games that are probably fairly short, it's probably worth picking them up. I just have them in my library, and eventually I'll play them, because, you know me, I like my Chiller's Art ones especially. Chiller's Art, if you don't know, is I think a Japanese firm that makes, like I say, very short horror games. Usually they're, what, at max about an hour, 2 hours in length. In fact, quite a few of them are actually far less than that. The Okari one that I mentioned a moment ago, for example, that was only took me about half an hour to actually play, so it's relatively short. And you had ones like Stigmatized Property, where my first playthrough only took me something like 40, 50 minutes, something like that. And then you had like the Convenience Store, which I did about 4 episodes on the channel quite a while ago, and I remember that one taking maybe a couple of hours or so. So they're really short games. You can do them in just a few episodes, and they're really, really good. I just think, they have that very nice, distinct retro VHS graphical style that just lends itself really nicely to horror and things like that. So yeah, horror games, everybody. I've got plenty of them in my Steam library, so let me know. But I also have quite a few indie ones from sites like GameJolt and itch.io. Just things like, things that you pick up on there from various devs who've maybe made games for things like game jams and stuff like that. Because they can be good, because you get some interesting ideas seen in them, or just generally quite satisfying concepts, or whatever. So it's always fun to play them as well. So I'll have to take a look in that library, that directory of games that I picked up from GameJolt and places like that, and just see if maybe there's anything in there that might be worth actually playing and taking a look at. Which I can do, don't you worry. Don't you fret your little heads. But like I say, in the meantime, feel free to leave some recommendations, whether that's on any of the games that I've mentioned, or on any others which you can think of which I might find interesting. Because I mentioned obviously like Penumbra, so if you're a fan of Penumbra, let me know. Are they any good? Are they worth playing? Soma, anyone who's played that, let me know. Is it worth playing? I mean, I've heard lots of good things about it. In fact, an interesting one that's come out fairly recently is it called Amnesia Rebirth? The latest in the Amnesia series by Frictional Games. I've heard sort of interesting things about that one. Some people say it's not as good as The Dark Descent or Machine for Pigs, but some people say it's still quite interesting. Other ones, horror games I do have in my Steam library, which I haven't mentioned here. Doorways, Holy Mountains of Flesh. The Chapter 4, you remember the Doorways franchise? I did the first 3 chapters quite some time ago, but the 4th chapter has been out on Steam for years now, and I've just never got round to playing it. I kind of forgot about that franchise, so maybe I'll play that. In fact, to give you an idea of how long ago it was when I last played a Doorways game, the last chapter I played, Chapter 3, The Underworld, I played that back on my old PC before I got my current build, and that was back when I was still living up north, in the north of England, that is. So yeah, that was quite some time ago, so it might be worth picking that up. Well, not picking it up, because I technically already have it, but it might be worth checking that out. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so there's that. And another couple of games that I do have in my Steam library as well, which are horror, and which I believe actually do fit the bill of more atmospheric horror, rather than jump scary or monster chase-esque. The Silvio games, I don't know if anyone's heard of them, Silvio and Silvio 2. They're interesting, because they're apparently about sort of like hunting ghosts or something. Or, well, is it about hunting ghosts, or is it about speaking to ghosts? Something like that. Something along those lines. I don't know exactly, but they sound kind of interesting. They kind of have mixed reviews on Steam, but some people are saying that if you go in there, not expecting much from them, they do certain things quite well in terms of their atmosphere and stuff like that. So it might be worth taking a look at those. And apparently they're not too long, I don't think. Certainly, apparently Silvio 2 isn't very long from what I understand. Whereas Silvio 1 might be a little longer, I'm not entirely sure. But those are 2 possible ideas as well there for anyone who might be interested. Because here's the thing, I used to play a lot of horror games. There was a kind of spell on my channel where I played loads of them all at once. And since then, there's so many games on Steam that I just want to play, including horror and non-horror. And I would like to try and get a bit more horror content going on the channel a bit more frequently than I do. So it might be worth making a note of that. So yeah, let me know in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think? Do you want to see more and more horror content? What about the ones that I've named there? Any good? Are they worth doing? And what about any other games that I've not mentioned here? Now, you see, I do have a confession here to make. There are some well-established horror franchises that I actually have no experience of, i.e. I've never played any of their games, like, for example, Resident Evil or Silent Hill. Never actually played any of those ones. Resident Evil, I'm not so kind of too sure about whether it is something I would play myself, but Silent Hill, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? So, some thoughts there. I'm going to wrap this episode up here, actually, because I think we've done about 15 or so minutes there, which is probably, minimum, which is probably enough for an episode. And also because I'm thinking that this West Island I've probably already cleared out, and bloody hell, my phone's going. 1 second, everybody. And back in. Gosh lordy. It's me old Farmerly ringing me up just to see how I'm doing. And he's saying, yep, it's an exciting day. Of coronavirus restrictions, that is. There's nothing going on. Got nothing to talk about and all that. Okay, right. Time to do the outro then, ladies and gentlemen. So, Facebook and Twitter links down below, along with the link to my propagandist channel and all that. If you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe and all that jazz. And I'll see you in the next video, everybody. Goodbye. I need to jump, obviously, don't I, on these things. Right, let's just... Okay. We go up. Chest is up there. Okay. Remember, oh god, no, that's not how you do it. Right, I like the fact that mushrooms are bouncy. That's pretty traditional platforming fare, isn't it, that? Bouncy mushrooms. Pretty much every platform I've ever played where there's mushrooms like that, mushrooms are always bouncy. They're always bounce pads that propel you up and down. I need to work this out. How do I get across? I just jump from here? I can't remember. I can just jump from here, okay. Key, please. What have we got? Is it a map fragment or another key? Oh, cube.